How you doing?
I'm good. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. I was just making a
It's
cup of tea.
okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Where are
Yeah,
you now? You're at home?
yeah, I'm at home right now. Yeah, I'm just in sort of the our extra bedroom here with which is sort of a zone for junk and other things that are maybe necessary or maybe not. So the keyboard behind me is necessary, but other than that, it's yeah.
So you've had a good week. You've had an album come out. You've had an album release show.
I did, yeah.
How's it been?
Well, the album launch, the Friday the 13th album launch was kind of, overshadowed by a lot of very large releases. However, I was very happy to see it included in a Toronto Star article with like Kendrick Lamar and a bunch of big. I mean, obviously that doesn't mean I'm as big as those artists, but they snuck me in there, and that was cool. But yeah, no, the reception has been great, locally especially, and the show was perhaps the best, honestly, the best show I've done in years, just as far as it being. It felt just kind of like hanging out with friends, and no, that's not because it was only my friends in the audience, but those who were not my friends or perhaps are now. So there you go.
Like you mentioned, there was a lot of big albums came out on the same day. So there was
Yeah,
Kendrick, there was The Smile, which was Tom York's band, and Florence
yeah,
Machine and the Black Keys.
yeah. Carly Rae Jepsen.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So did you know when you planned the release date, did you know any of that? Or does it even make a difference really?
I didn't know any of that. I just wanted a Friday the 13th release date just to sort of, tempt fate a bit.
Okay, well, hopefully it can
I'm not actually
the right way.
superstitious, but I thought that maybe Friday the 13th was kind of, people would remember that, right? So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
So with this album, what did you learn from the first album that's helped you on this one?
I've learned that being a solo artist is different than working in a band. I mean, when I released my first solo record in 2018, it was on the cusp of having done some big touring with my previous band and releasing two like Polaris nominated records. And I sort of went in like, oh, well, this is going to go just as well as those things. I'm not starting fresh. I'm building directly on the fan base that I had from my other band, blah, blah, blah. Just a bit too cocky. I've since grown up quite a bit, and I wasn't too cocky in other ways even then, but I was assuming a bit too confidently that I would just be directly picking up on the using the same steam that I had garnered from my previous releases with my other band, Vesuvio Solo. So yeah, and so this time around, I was much less. Not only did I not make such assumptions, but I was much less, much less willing to compromise in terms of my artistic vision. I wanted an album that spoke to sort of two increasing, I don't sort of modalities within which I write songs. One being sort of the more soft rock kind of thing that I've been doing for a long time with my previous band and with my last record, and another being a more acoustic driven singer-songwriter kind of thing. And so the album is kind of neatly divided between the more poppy first half and the more acoustic second half. And everyone used to do that in the 70s, right? Like Fleetwood Mac or even like Led Zeppelin or whatever. It's like you had your sort of your big single kind of tracks, and then you had some acoustic tracks, and then why not do that now? I mean, people don't tend to do that anymore, but I'm a guitarist mainly, and so I tend to want to do what the tried and tested guitar music stuff to some extent. And I got chops as both an electric and acoustic player, so why not use both of those things?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you touched on like the 70s rock kind of thing. Is that the music that you grew up with, that kind of sound? Because I can definitely see influences in what you're doing now.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up my mom, I grew up more with my mom than my dad, and my mom is just a huge folky. Like, so like I grew up on and both traditional and contemporary folk. I didn't discover any, 70s and 80s music that wasn't folk music, to be honest, until I was in my teens in high school and doing my own musical explorations in a big way. But no, at home it was all mandolins and banjos. So
Right.
yeah.
So,
And and the folk thing is still present again in this record, and which hasn't been on my previous records. But the more the 70s, 80s influences came just from moving to Montreal when I was 22 or 23 or whatever it was, a long time ago now. I acquired a circle of friends who were really into 70s soft rock and 80s new wave and all these sort of influences that still permeate my music. And
was your mother a musician? Did you have music playing in the house?
my mother wasn't a musician, but her sister, my aunt, was a musician, and she was the first person who showed me things on the guitar, kind of an informal teacher in a sense. And then before I actually took, music lessons of various kinds and just learned mostly on my own. But she was the player in the family for sure.
You said that you found your own music as a teenager. What music was that? What was the music that you really kind of made your own at that time?
I was definitely obsessed with Jimi Hendrix and Radiohead, which seemed pretty disparate, but yeah. So I was playing I'd be playing Little Wing 1 minute and Paranoid Android the next, as far as what I was learning how to play. So
right.
Yeah.
Trying to keep up with Johnny Greenwood, that's not an easy task if you're new to an instrument.
Yeah, well, and I didn't have and I still don't have all the sort of effects or the knowledge with regards to like how to use all kinds of digital effects on a guitar. I just keep it simple, sort of chorus, reverb, bit of delay. That's about it.
Compared to your previous band, why did you actually want to go solo in the first place?
Well, our band broke up, but I had already been working on some solo material with a friend of mine named Adam Wilcox, who produced the first album, Wait for Love, and but I thought it would very much be a side project. And then our band broke up at the end of 2016 after doing a European tour, and we still have some stuff in the vault that might come out at some point. We'll see. Vesuvio Solo, maybe. But I never really intended to. I was always sort of a band guy in a sense, and I never really intended to just be a solo artist. But here I am, and I feel like I'm still not a solo artist in the sense that I think this is true of everybody more than they admit, but I really need that community of people to workshop songs with. I need producers like my friend Rolly, Cadence Weapon, that produced this last record, that produced Secret Verses, which just came out. I need sort of to feel like I'm making music with people to get anything done. I'm not sort of sit in my room and write these sort of beginnings of a song, but I don't sort of brood over song ideas for hours on my own. I need to take them to someone else, and it's not because I need reassurance or don't have the confidence to finish things on my own, but I just really feed off the other people's energy and suggestions, and I like to feel like I'm working with a team. So
you mentioned Rolly there. People will know him as Cadence Weapon, award-winning, and actually I interviewed him not so long ago.
Oh, cool.
How does that work with you guys? Because obviously the music that he makes is completely different to the music you make. That doesn't mean that he doesn't like all kinds of genres as well, and the same with you, I would assume. But what are the benefits and the struggles that you find working with somebody from a different musical genre?
There were no struggles in a sense, because we've been mainly because we've been friends for a decade, and we've known each other a long time, and he always sends me new stuff that he's working on, and vice versa. And I mean, he sends me more stuff than I send him, just because he's a bit more prolific than me as a songwriter. But I send him stuff as it's unfolding. And yeah, during the pandemic, it was, like I mentioned, I like getting together with people and workshopping songs. So it was less that, obviously. It was endless email exchanges or Zooms, and it was songs that I had started to write at during a residency that I did at the Banff Center in late 2019. And I was sending those to him, and then the pandemic started, and we were doing that sort of back and forth emailing of song ideas. And then he just said, "Why don't I produce your record?" And I, of course, agreed. And the benefit, one of the benefits has been that he has given me, because even though he's very much a hip hop artist, he's honestly much more of a music nerd than me in a really broad sense. Like, he just listens to everything, and he constantly keeps up with what's going on. I don't do that. I don't even listen to music every day, to be honest. And I play music every day, but he definitely listens to music every day and studies music in a sense that, so he has knowledge of just so many genres, and a way of bringing together, elements that I would assume are super disparate. So, for example, a song on my record, Wild Roses, which is the most, it's the last song on the record. It's the most straightforwardly singer-songwriter song on the record. It's just really lyrically dense and musically simple. And he wanted to add some sort of theremin-like synth textures to it, which we ended up doing, which I wouldn't have thought of doing. And it was actually me playing a thing called an ebow on the guitar, which sort of sounds like a theremin, and added some street recordings that he did as well to speak to the, thematic imagery of travel in the song. And I was like, oh, that's going to be really cheesy, we can't do that. But he found a way of doing it that was super interesting. So, because he thinks of sort of sound more broadly than I do, I'm learning to now, because I think it has benefited me. But that was one of the big things. It's like, how does this sound? What sounds can we bring to these songs, as opposed to me just thinking, what instruments can I play, or how can I sing this? So,
is there a lyrical thread that you would say through the album? Do the songs link at all in that way?
Yeah, I think that the songs, and a lot of the songs initially being written during a rather isolated music residency, where I was just in my own studio writing songs all the time, and then completed during the isolation of the pandemic. Of course, isolation is kind of a big thing that pops into a lot of the songs. And not only isolation, but a desire to come out of it, and moments in which coming out of it seems possible. This is very meta of me, but it was the first time I wrote about writing songs. For instance, the song Thief, that contains the line from which the title of the record, Secret Verses, came, which is, you write the secret verses that contain a single thought that is somehow multiplied 1,000 ways. That came from this sort of idea of, I would get caught very much in a writer's block kind of thing, on like, oh, I have this one line is so good, but I don't have another line, and it's just singing it again and again and again. And that's sort of the behind closed doors element of songwriting. Of course, those are the secret verses that songwriters write and don't tend to talk about. So, it is a very tedious process writing songs, of course. Maybe not, of course, though. I feel like sometimes people are like, oh, why aren't you releasing music all the time? And of course, there is such an imperative now with streaming to put out stuff constantly. But it's like, bands used to always release records every 2 or 3 years, maybe 5 years, because you write tons of songs that are absolute garbage and you throw them out. But those are the practice for doing the real thing, which you don't really control, but sometimes it just sort of happens, and you realize you're writing a song that might be decent enough to release. But it's very hard to write a song, for one thing, that doesn't sound like every other song. And
it's that's what they say. All the chord sequences have already been used.
Yeah.
People of course find new ways to use them, and like you're doing, bringing in different sounds and adding textures and layers. to tell a different kind of story.
For sure.
It's like saying we can't make a movie because all the words have already been used. You just need to find ways of rearranging them.
Yeah, sometimes I envy friends of mine that are into like playing free jazz or really avant-garde jazz or avant-garde classical music, and then they're not working with these pre-existing formulas. And I'm like, that's amazing. I really wish I had that luxury. But it's probably not a luxury, actually. I think it's incredibly difficult to work like that. But yeah.
Absolutely. So you played the show last week, which was in Montreal. Mm-hmm. Do you have plans to take these songs on the road or do other shows over the summer?
Yeah, so I'm playing at North by Northeast in Toronto on the 16th of June, Thursday the 16th at the Rivoli, or Rivoli. I think it's Rivoli. And other than that, I think, there's some shows that are being organized as we speak. But as I mentioned to you before we started talking, I'm expecting a baby with my partner, Sophie, and a boy due in September. So still playing it, fairly COVID safe. I'm not going to be doing any huge touring immediately, but, there'll be some shows here and there, for sure, North by Northeast, and some other stuff that'll be announced through my website and through my Bandcamp. Just launched a website, which I had never done. So I'm going to start using that more frequently to advertise shows and things. And so there'll be some others over the summer for sure. Maybe some house concerts even. I'd like to do some backyard sort of stuff.
Where can people find you online? You mentioned you've got a new website. Where else?
If they're interested in merch, the best place to go is my Bandcamp. And
we'll link in the description below, as they say.
I love it. Yeah, the Bandcamp is going to be, even though there's a website now, it's still the hub for merch. And there are T-shirts available, tote bags. There are vinyl records available to pre-order that are going to be around in June. Supply chain issues, they weren't ready in time for the release itself, but
we blame Adele.
Yeah, exactly. Apparently there are vinyl shortages in particular, like the material. So there you go. But they say June, by June 15th. So a month basically after the release of the record. So hopefully that's true. But regardless, anyone who pre-orders them, I'll make sure you get them whenever they come.
Okay. And the website is what?
The website is cammaclean.com. So there
you go. Nice and easy.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, everything is opening up again now, finally. Keep all our fingers crossed. So, you're going to get out of that isolation, but at least you got some inspiration from the isolation. For the record, and it's a beautiful record. It's going to be a great soundtrack to the summer, I think.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I think that at least there's a few songs on there that are, I'm hoping, perfect for the summer. So
that's the first thing that I thought when I listened to it. I'm just like, I can imagine just like lying in the sun with this playing in the background, and it'll be perfect. So
my music was once described as perfect for deep porching. So there you go.
Wow. Was that not a possible album title? Deep Porching?
That'll be the next.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Good luck.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, it's been awesome.
Including the family. It's an exciting year for you.
It absolutely is. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. And maybe I'll catch you in a room somewhere when your girlfriend lets you play.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Well, thanks again.
Thanks, Steve.
You have a very good day.
You too. Take care.
Right.